So, amidst the rise of the AfD in Germany, there is also a new political party that has sprung up over the last couple days that is now kind of wreaking havoc on the German political establishment.
So interesting.
I know you don't normally. I've never been so tuned in to these countries where I see a new political party blossom out of nothing.
No, and it's obviously never happened in our lives or in the past really century in the U.S.
No.
So it's not really on our radar.
So what is this new party? So I'm not going to try and pronounce her name because I can't, but it is. Her middle name is Sahra, and she's raising the Reason and Justice Party. Okay, this Reason and Justice Party is forming out of the defeated left party in Germany. So I'm going to call her W because that's what her last name starts with. W was a leading figure in the left party, but her constituents and the people in the left party really didn't like her a lot. She had a lot of socially neutral positions that didn't converge with the rest of the left-wing progressive base of the left party. And so with her, she is coming out and creating a new party specifically to come out in favor of a left populism in rejection of left progressivism. So what does that mean by left populism? Well, it means that she is she's anti-NATO on the international stage. She is pro-Gaza. She describes Gaza as an open-air prison. She wants deglobalization. She's slightly European skeptic. She isn't totally bought into the European Union. She is an anti-green economy. She doesn't want to facilitate the green transition because she's worried of how it will affect lower income earners. She is okay with immigration restrictions. However, she does not support any type of deportations, as so far I've seen. But she also wants a lot of economic intervention. She wants increased taxes on the wealthy. She wants to shore up the pension system. She wants to do more deficit spending to boost infrastructure. So it's this weird dichotomy of, kind of Keynesian on economic stuff where you want to pump money into the economy through the federal pump, but you're also not a progressive on the social stuff as much as like gender ideology and racial issues.
Yeah. It's a good example of how kind of restricted our political system is to show that you can have these ideas that, like, from our lens, these totally come from the two different sides of the aisle, and we're not used to reconciling them. But a party can absolutely do that if you're in a system that allows for more than two parties.
Yeah, and she explains that her main reason for doing this is because she sees the collapse in the ruling coalition in Germany. She sees the collapse of the Social Democrats, the Greens, the FDP, and she is worried about the rise of the AfD. As so far she claims she's a politician. I don't know what her true motives are. But the point is, she is running for the purposes of kneecapping the AfD. Now, a lot of people are like, wait a second. I thought you guys were saying that the AfD was a far-right party. Why would far-right voters go and jump on a left-wing, populist, economically interventionist movement? Well, it's because the left populist movement rising here is neutral on these social issues that the AfD is actually energized by. The AfD doesn't have that much of an economic message. It has a cultural message. So if you give them a cultural message that is not so foot down on the pedal as the AfD, you go a little, halfway with it, and then you give economic interventionism, maybe they'll support you. And this is kind of similar to what other left-wing parties do across Europe. This is very common in, like, the Greece Communist Party is more described of a left populist party.
Okay.
The Socialist Party in the Netherlands, Netherlands has this type of, immigration restriction plus socialist economic model. So, but she's also getting some pushback because some people in the German media don't believe her. So people are saying for this party, the BSW, that's what I'm going to call it, the BSW, for the Reason and Justice Party in German, it's BSW. For the BSW, nationalism no longer seems to be the evil enemy, but a means and an end to mobilize people for her kind of socialism.
Yep.
So they are afraid, people in the German liberal progressive media are afraid that she is pushing for a national socialism, which I definitely understand their fears. I think it's a little overdone. I don't think that she is calling for the type of mass deportation campaigns that the AfD is doing. She's not doing that. She's not calling for a total, what am I saying? A total rejection of gender ideology or rejection of racial issues. It's just not the focal point of her campaign. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, and even the worst case scenario seems to not even be that bad, because her coming out and claiming that the goal is to stop the rise of the AfD means that it's going to be pretty hard for her to go back on that and at some point make a coalition with them, right?
Right.
So like at the very least, it seems like this goal of stopping their rise to power, it's going to almost need to be carried out.
Yes. And listen, the German left-wingers have an issue in their past of siding with Nazis. The Communist Party in Germany, the KPD, gave more credence to Hitler and the National Socialists than they should have. That is true. They're not going to make that mistake again, I hope. So it's definitely like this scary thing, but I think this is definitely lowering the stakes. If we could replace the AfD with a left-wing populist party, that is way lower stakes than dealing with an AfD that wants to deport all unassimilated German people. Okay,
yeah.
That's a way different stakes. And so BSW claims that her goal is to stop the AfD. Is this a valid case? Well, they are going to the polls in September of 2024, only a couple months away, 8 months away. And they are going to be voting in a state like Thuringia. Thuringia is a stronghold of the AfD. It is, I think it's the state with their most support. It's either Thuringia or Saxony. And the AfD is expected to do very well. In current polling, the AfD is sitting around somewhere at 35% of the vote, with second place being the left party at around 25. So the left, while collapsed on the national stage in Germany, is very strong in this area. Why is that? Because it's an East German state. The AfD and the left party are very, very strong in the eastern parts of the country, the old Soviet bloc.
Yeah, it makes sense too, because the East Germany is the economically weakest. It's the part of the country which I would expect to be looking for more political extremism, which is what both the AfD and the left party provide.
Exactly. And so now the issue with the left party and why they've fallen out of favor in Thuringia, when they used to be such a stronghold, was because of their social progressivism. Well, the new left party, the BSW, is trying to bridge that divide. And so does it accomplish that? Well, one poll taken just a month ago said that the left party would get 27% of the vote, the AfD would get 37%, the CDU would get 16%, and the SPD 7%. Now, if the BSW were in the race, the left party would get 20.5% of the vote, the AfD drops down to 27.5%. The new left party is at 22.5%. Bigger than the current left party.
Wow.
And then if the left party and the Social Democrats and the new left, the BSW, work together and form a coalition in Thuringia, you could totally take the knees out of the AfD.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening. This new left party, the BSW, is trying to take the knees out of the AfW and be able to give an other populist alternative to the Eastern Bloc countries that don't view that the Western-based parties of the SPD or the CDU is actively representing them.
Politically, I'm super impressed.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. This
Very
is really good.
Strategic. Right? Very smart. And it's a very outside the box move. It's not just campaigning. It's not just messaging. It's creating a whole different party. That's wild.
Now, their whole platform isn't written yet, and I want to save a lot of my praise or criticism for when the whole platform is written. They could come out with a far-right social platform, and I'll say this party isn't worth it, right? If they come out and they say that they want to increase their deportations and do all this bad stuff, then End of the day, no way.
Yeah, I would also reserve the right to judge the party. I think what we would do right now is just look at their ability to take the knees out of the AfD. And that they seem effective at.
And if that's the fight we're currently in. Mm-hmm. And so if we look at this nationally, let's go out of Thuringia. We've already proven that the BSW could kneecap the AfD in Thuringia. Let's go nationally, federally in Germany. Well, federally, the BSW could rake in 12% of the vote, taking 5 points away from the AfD and 1.5 points away from the CDU. It also pulls in a lot of independent voters as well. That's what this coalition is being made up of.
Yep.
And so it shows you that a lot of these AfD voters are people who are just looking for another way out of their current predicament.
Yes.
And they don't trust the current liberal progressive establishment. Whether right or wrongly, they don't trust it. Mm-hmm. So this BSW is giving them a new thing to trust that isn't blatant xenophobia and racism.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. They're more neutral on immigration than AfD. So I feel like that's the main kind of spectrum to look at to figure out how xenophobic is this party going to come out as.
Yeah, and look, as an American, I'm going to try to map this dichotomy and this moment onto something that I can relate to, and I look at it as John Fetterman from Pennsylvania. He's a senator from Pennsylvania, recently elected, got elected as a progressive, but he's been very hard on the border crisis. Mm-hmm. He's been very hard on Joe Biden and wanting to deal with the border crisis, closing the border, increasing border security. And that's totally fine. That person can exist within the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's good that this type of alternative left is coming, at least for now, as long as they don't go too far right on the cultural stuff. And we'll see if they govern, if they go into a governing coalition. The SPD, being led by Olaf Scholz, has suggested that, this woman has never governed a day in her life, that she's been a protest vote in every parliament she's been involved in, that she's never had to govern anything, and that she's a non-serious candidate. We'll see if that's true.
Yeah.
But a new political party in Germany, crazy stuff.
Exciting.